Hey everyone, Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel. So today's review is on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2, and this is the multicolour unit. I know there's going to be some disappointment that anyone who had the original Carbon 1 was hoping that that was going to be upgraded to the multicolour. I know that some of the specs that they have put onto this wouldn't have been able to cope with it. So I can see the rationale behind moving up into a whole new unit. Now it is a cost-effective unit, so from what I can see in the UK it's going to be around about £400, so for a multicolour unit that's pretty damn good. I'm going to go through the features of what they've upgraded on this. We're going to go through some of the specifications, but before we do that, don't forget to like and subscribe to 3DP UK Tech Channel and stay with me for the rest of the video. So what I'm going to do now is quickly show how I put it all together, and I can tell you it didn't take that long. But before we continue, I just wanted to say that while I was doing the upgrades on this and the build, I used this WORKPRO 60-in-1 tool set. Now you can pick this up for about £25 and you have up to 60 different heads in here. Nice and easy to use. Just press this button here and you have the screw head and multiple different parts to carry out installation and builds of your 3D printers. So definitely check these out. They are WORKPRO and I will leave a link in the description. You have everything you need for all your builds, and that is the WORKPRO 60-in-1. So here we have the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2. So we are going to take a look at this. On the channel we did review the Elegoo Centauri Carbon. I was under the impression that we would be able to do multicolour on the Carbon 1, but it looks as if they have gone away from that particular idea and gone straight into a whole new version. What we're going to do is a very quick unboxing, see what you get in the actual item itself. And then we're going to do a quick overview of the actual machine, the specifications, run some tests, and then we will do a side-by-side with the original Carbon and the Centauri Carbon 2 to see what type of differences we have on this machine. So opening up the box, really well packaged. You can see we have a user manual and we have a quick step guide on how to set up the Carbon 2. So inside here we will see quite a bit of polystyrene, but not quite sure what was supposed to be in between that part. Seems a little bit excessive on that. Nice that they put these corners in. It does protect it from being banged outside transit, which is always really good to see. I've noticed that with quite a lot of the brands now, they have been doing that. So taking off that, we are greeted with the unit itself. We're going to grab the bag, pull it out, remove the packaging and take a look at what we have inside. Okay, so we've removed it from the packaging. Initially, cosmetically, it's quite close to the Centauri Carbon 1. Obviously, we're going to be multicolour in this, so we're going to take a look at the contents. We'll remove some of the other seals and packaging and screen protectors and stuff like that, and we'll take a look what you find in the box itself. Okay, so we've removed the polystyrene inside. So the top layer has the screen. Now the screen is bigger than the original Carbon 1. I'll put on the screen now the actual size of that, but straight away I can see that it is significantly bigger just in the actual screen size itself. So it gives you an update as to what to do, so you need to update the firmware, etc. The rest in the packaging is basically some filament, but we won't use that because it's really not useful. We've got a nozzle cleaner, we have some grease, we have scraper blades, we also have some tools and a USB. So we will check out the USB, see what's on there, but the standard stuff in terms of ordering a 3D printer. The next thing we have out of here is some Bowden tubes. Now this will be for the multicolor, so you will notice that when you receive the box, you will only receive one box. In here is the lid, and that is to put over the top. As you can see, it doesn't cover the whole of the 3D printer itself, like most normally cover the whole unit. It only covers about 80% of it, so it sits nicely on there, and they have already put some protectors around the edges. So the next thing out, we have some connectors for the filament feeder, so the multicolor filament feeder. You also have this. The next thing out of here is the waste chute, which we will need to connect as part of the setup procedure. This will fit inside, and you can basically fit it in and then screw it in, nice and easy. The next thing we have, based in the UK, so I have a UK plug socket. We also have, this is part of the lid, so you do need to put the lid together as well. It comes in two pieces. This is the part that covers the AMS side of it, so just make sure that you keep that nice and safe. In here we have a box, and in the box we also have the spool holder connection, so you will need to put these all together as well. And you also have the multicolor feed part for the nozzle, and we'll need to connect this up like so. What I have seen in other videos is that it is quite difficult to get to, but we will see how that goes in this setup itself. In there also is some screws and all of the tools that you need to do that. All of the spool holders will fit on these parts here, here, here and here, and they are clearly numbered, as you can see. So we are getting towards the bottom end now. Now the next thing out is the actual spool holders themselves. Like I say, you do need to fit the bracket first, and then these fit on here, and once again these are clearly numbered, so make sure that you put them in order. It just keeps everything nice and clean in exactly how it should be. You've also got in here the actual AMS unit part itself. So we have the bracket, we will need to fit this to the side like so. Once again, a little bit of putting together, slightly more involved in this particular one. Some of them are nice and easy, and they are connected up with just one unit. So with the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2, it has the Elegoo canvas and the RFID reader, nice and clearly marked as number as well. So yeah, nice and solid as well. Does feel really, really good. Premium quality with that as well. So nice to see that. So the next thing out is the lid. Now I believe I'm going to need to take that out through the door. I don't see any possible way of removing that from the top. Okay, so I've moved the stickers. Be very careful with the screen one, you don't want to damage the cable. Once you've opened up the front door, and it's the only way to remove the lid, just pull it out gently, making sure you don't catch it or scrape it on anything. You have full access to the inside. Inside you have some more polystyrene, just making sure that you go around, double checking everywhere. It's literally covered in all aspects of it, and I believe there is even some underneath the build plate, but we probably won't get access to that until we move the build plate itself. And then we've also got some sticky tape here, probably holding the filter. So you can now move the print head out of the way and gain access to that, and just making sure that you remove everything. I believe we also need to remove each of those, which is holding the build plate in place for transit, which is pretty standard with most Core XY printers now. Overall, I think we have removed most things. I don't see any polystyrene under there, and there doesn't seem to be any cable ties holding it all in place. It seems like we are free moving. So it's a case of removing these 3 bolts here. Okay, so that's everything unpacked. So we have the instructions manual, we have the Elegoo canvas, which has got the RFID reader just here. We've got the 4 spool holders, you've got the brackets for the spool holders, you do need to connect that. You also need to connect up the RFID to the top. We've got the power cable, we've got the waste chute, we've got the larger screen in comparison to the Carbon 1. We've got various tools and bits and bobs. We've also got the connector for the Elegoo canvas, and we've got the PTFE tubes for that. You have 2 parts to the lid. There is some putting together, and that sits up nicely on top, which is a nice touch to make it an enclosed space. So what we're now going to do is remove the 3 screws that are inside and connect up the screen, and then we'll go over and start putting on the spools. They're nice and easy. I'll probably skip that step and then just show you at the end how you need to do that and the type of things to look for if I come across any issues. When you're putting it together, as I showed you early on in the video, you have to connect up this part here, the canvas unit, the rear chute, and you also have to remove these 3 screws. That's pretty standard across any sort of Core XY printer now. You do find that the build plate is actually secured in place for transit. So also on installation, you do need to connect up 4 brackets, and then you have these sprung loaded spool holders, and they do fit these smaller spools, but I have found on previous other printers that I have reviewed that have identical type of spool holders, it doesn't do the larger ones, so there has to be some modifications to the actual spool to be able to fit it on and hold it in place. It does have grip, so it does hold it quite well and nice and secure as well. Okay, so for the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2, you have a build volume that is identical to the Carbon 1, which is a 256 square on the build volume. Now the overall build size, you're looking at around about 500 by 480 and 743, which includes the bucket on top, which is what we're kind of calling this. So this is the head, which is covering mainly the Bowden tubes that are going into the printing head. And it also gives you the ability to print more exotic filaments such as carbon fibers. So I do like the fact that they've done that, and I know that there's probably going to be some updates and modifications that a community are going to bring us. Also, it has 110 on the build plate temperature, and we have a temperature of 350 degrees on the nozzle, so you're going to be able to definitely print lots of different filaments with this, and with it being fully enclosed as well, you can do lots of different higher temperature filaments as well as multicolor printing. The nozzle is made of hardened steel, so nice and rigid as well. We have the vibration compensation and we have the pressure advance as well, so it's pretty standard for that. Now, one of the standout upgrades for this, so cosmetically, as you can see side by side, we have the Centauri Carbon 1 here and we have the Carbon 2 here, so identical in looks. The only difference is the Carbon 1 has a full open lid, whereas on the Carbon 2, we only probably use about 75% of this, and there's a sort of back to it, which I'll show a bit closer in a minute. So putting the lid back on, it also has smart temperature control with the new grill design. So inside here, you have a nice grilling just to allow the temperature flow to go out a lot easier in comparison to the Carbon 1. Now, also the screen size. So on the Carbon 1, you had the 4.3 inch, and I know when I was doing the review on that, it was quite tedious to sort of put in your password and Wi-Fi settings and all that. But this is a 5 inch and it looks so much more clearer, so it's almost identical to a phone size, so it's really easy to use for even people with big fingers like me. What else have we got? We've got auto leveling as well, and also it's working out about 13% quicker than the original auto leveling. So if you want to get straight to prints, I always auto level before every print. It's just habitual that I do that. Now the multicolor side of it, we will show that in more detail. So we have the Elegoo canvas, and it also has the RFID sensor on the side. So I will show that as well and how that works. Okay, so with this printer, it has been designed for everyday household use. So you can use it in your home with it being fully enclosed, safe from any particles. You've also got the air filtration, but also it's only 45 decibels on the sound, so it's not going to trouble you too much. Now I always keep my printing studio, and that's where all my printers are, so I very rarely have it indoors. So, but it gives you the option to go outside of that realm. So it is taken into consideration for any user, nice and simple to set up. So even the intermediates, the touchscreen as well is very intuitive and very easy to navigate through all the different settings, and also connecting up your filaments as well. Now if you do have the RFID, it does have a sensor on the side. Just tap it on the side and simply recognizes that filament, and it puts all the settings into the machine already. So it's going to make it so much easier to use. So let's talk about the big elephant in the room, the two different machines, and the Carbon one that we were hoping that was going to be the multicolor, and I myself was also hoping that that was going to be the multicolor unit, and you just upgraded it. Now the basic fact is this was quite a cheap printer anyway, so it's not like you were spending in the thousands, but however it was always hopeful that we were going to get this as the multicolor unit. But they have decided to go to the Carbon 2, and we're just going to quickly go through some of the key differences between the two machines. So the significant delays with the Carbon 1 in terms of multicolor has led us to this moment to have the Carbon 2. Now the key difference is on the Carbon 1, your highest temperature nozzle was 320 degrees, so that did limit you as to what you could print on there, whereas this one has the 350 degrees, so you're going to get a lot more opportunities for different key filaments. So the other thing is the cooling enclosure. Now when I was using this, we did have some issues with the cooling side of it, so it would overheat quite quickly. They have improved it with improved fans across the whole unit, and also the improved grille at the back to allow heat dissipation from the rear of the machine. Okay, so the Carbon 1 really did lack in some features to be able to incorporate the multicolor printing into that unit, and Elegoo acknowledged that. I think it was important for the community to receive the final product being exactly what you need to do multicolor printing, and I felt like the feedback that I was getting from the PR team and the Elegoo contacts that I have is that it just was not going to work correctly. So they did go with the decision to go with the Carbon 2, and I get it. It's frustrating, especially with all of the promotion of being able to use multicolor printing on the CC1. So with this, you're getting faster filament changes with the Elegoo canvas unit on the side. Also the smart swap over, so you can put the two different filaments on there. So if you've got two whites and you run out of white, it will smartly swap over to the other white as long as you put all the right settings in and you activate that on the touchscreen. Overall print speeds are the same, so you're getting 500 on both of them, and you're getting 20,000 on both of them for the acceleration. So not a lot of difference in print speeds, and that's pretty standard across the board with these Core XY printers. The CC2, which I'm calling this the Carbon 2, is obviously a bigger screen, which is the 5-inch, which actually makes it so much cleaner and clearer to see. I didn't have too many issues with that, but I did find it difficult when I was putting in the Wi-Fi, as I mentioned earlier on in the video. Overall, my experience so far, I will show some prints that I've done, which you could probably see a few over here. At the back end of this video, I've had no issues with the multicolor print inside of it, no failures. Everything has come out crystal clear, crisp, and as I'll show you later on in the video, all the prints that I've got off this, I'm really blown away by the quality. Now, having said that, with multicolor printing, you do have a lot of waste. Filament waste is one of my biggest bugbearers. Now, with any type of print in multicolor unit that only has the single head, you are going to have this issue. It doesn't matter whether it's other brand or the Elegoo brand. But like I say, it's something that can be improved on in the future with modifications to the slicer settings, so you can change the purges, you can change that. I did have so much waste with some of these prints over there, but you've got to do that in some cases, especially going from white to black. That's a big difference in color transition, so you need to make sure there's no color bleed. There couldn't be anything worse than printing something that takes 15 hours and you waste 500 grams of filament across all the colors, and then at the end of it you've got rings of different coloring. I've had that happen, and it's a case of trial and error, and slicer is a big issue with that. Okay, so let's take a look at the aesthetics of this. As I mentioned earlier, we do have this bucket style lid, and this is just a very simple push over the top lid. This protects the Bowden tubes going into the print head. You also have the Elegoo Canva, which is on the side here with the RFID. I only have one RFID filament on here. I will demonstrate that in a second on how simple it is to integrate that into it, and it installs all of the settings directly into it. I found that this was very, very easy to install, as you see earlier on in the video, and it works really, really well. Very, very simple to use. The one concern I did have when I was putting it together was having access to the internal gears. It might be interesting to break that down to see if you have any filament jams or if you've got any shards of filament in there that is blocking this from working freely. So that'll be interesting. You do have these illuminated lights, and these flash when they are in use. They also are lit when they have been installed with some filament. So quite clearly marked on the screen of the door is Centauri Carbon 2. It is very identical in terms of the chassis to the Carbon 1. You have inside, once again, identical to the Carbon 1, you have the Flexi double-sided build plate. Inside, the actual filament head or printing head is very, very alike to the first one, and I found it very, very difficult to install this multicolor sort of internal part. What I found was you had to remove the cable at the back, which isn't mentioned in the instructions. So when you do that, just remove that, because the Allen key will not reach one of those screws. So they should have really mentioned that in there. You do have to install the filament waste chute. It just slots in nice and easy. You've got all the screws for that. As I mentioned earlier, it has improved the grill for heat dissipation, and you do have the side blower and these parts blower fans as well. You've obviously got the Core XY motion, and the belts and rods are very, very similar to the original. So much like the first one, we do have the USB slot at the front, and the touchscreen is a lot bigger in comparison to the Carbon 1, as you can see here. So going through the screen itself, nice and easy to use. You have the inbuilt local as it did on the previous, and you can scroll very, very quickly between the two. You also have the USB drive, and you have the print history, and it gives you all the details as to what failed and what didn't. On here you also have the preparation of your Core XY motion and your temperatures of your heat bed, etc., and the internal temperature. You can also change the speed as well, and you have the 3 fans. So you have the model fan, the auxiliary fan, and the chamber case fan, and that is all automated through the slicer program, or you can turn it on yourself. So as I mentioned earlier on in the video, there's a little bit of a difference between the two. As you can see on the Carbon 1, The lid completely covers the whole area around the side, apart from obviously the chassis. But on the Carbon 2, you do have this extra part at the back, and this just supports the lid. There was no need to go any further than that. In terms of the cable chain, pretty much identical, and overall aesthetically it looks identical as well, and they have exactly the same door as the original. What I have found on the original is the magnet does come loose, so you do need to glue that if it comes off. Okay, so for entering the RFID on this particular spool, we do have it. You just go over to the canvas on the side and basically rest it up against it like so, and it makes a little beep sound. Come over to the screen and it has recognized it on the screen as RFID identified. This filament is PLA. Where do you want it? So you select which spool. We're going to put it on number 1 and then just confirm, and it has entered all of those details very, very quickly. So if you click on it, it highlights it. You can edit. You can see that it's come out with all of the different settings for it. Just helps you not have to manually put it in yourself, especially if you've got multiple different colors and different brands. It helps you just input into the system a lot quicker, and so that is really, really nice and quick and simple. Like I say, just tap it on the side here and it enters in. It does make a little bleep sound, so you know that it's been entered, and you just select which spool that you're connecting it up to. Nice and simple. Okay, as you can see, we have the print complete now, 16.5 hours, and we have the Gengar, which is in the black Power Rangers setup from Nostalgic 3D, and as you can see, it has come out super crisp. So we're going to take all the supports off and take a look at it. Now, the one thing that is a really big bugbearer for me now with multicolour is the amount of waste. I think it's always been a problem with multicolour printing, but having used the multi-tool head, we do have a considerable amount of waste, probably just as much as the print alone, and it probably would make more sense to have maybe 3 or 4 of these size models on there with the same amount of waste, so you're not going to waste time. But because this was a test print, I just wanted to do the one, but other than that, it's come out super clean. So we're going to tidy it up, take all the supports off and take a look at what it looks like. Okay, so we have completed the print of the Nostalgic 3D Gengar in the Power Rangers format. It took about 12 to 15 hours. I can't quite recall the time, but the amount of waste was considerable, but it has come out super clean. Love these models from Nostalgic 3D. I will drop a link in the description from how you can become a patron of these, and I will feature a few more models from them as we go through this video. Okay, so we have completed another one from Nostalgic 3D. This is a Pikachu in the Power Rangers format. This was a 11.5 hour print, and we have an extreme amount of waste, which we have at the back as well, which has overflowed, which I'm going to need to clean up. But that is par for the course for these multicolour purge printers. Unlike some of the other brands that are multi-tool head, you do have to expect some purge waste, especially with going from like yellows to black. but overall it looks good, so we're going to take it off the build plate and see how it's come out. And as you can see, it has come out really well. Just a bit of cleaning up to do with a heat gun, just to take away some of the bit of fur, but overall that has printed out really well. That's the nostalgic Pikachu in the Power Rangers format, and that has really come out nice. I like that. Like I say, you do have to expect the purge waste with these multicolour format printers, but overall perfect print. Okay, so we have another print. As I said, I did the Home Alone Kevin McAllister Hueforge print with two colours. So we had the white and the black Elegoo. We had the RFID version, which we tagged in on the side there, and as you can see, it's come out really well. Quite a long print, because to be fair, I did actually slow this down, but yeah, it's come out really well. So we're just going to pop it off and take a quick look at it. Okay, so as we can see, this has come out absolutely amazing. These settings that were already part of the download have brought it out, and it has popped out really nice. First layer, pretty much perfect, as you can see. Not a very thick print, but this has come out amazing. And as you can see, the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2 multicolor is definitely delivering on the quality of the print. So we are going to now head over to another print, and then we're going to call it a day and start giving my final feedback on this printer. Overall, I am pretty impressed with how this is performing, and like I say, two colour, it really looks good. At all different angles you're picking up that print. Really like that. Awesome model. Okay, so we are currently filming. We are printing with some Esun TPU 95A. We've got this really nice translucent blue. We are going from this eBoss heat station, and we're going straight up in, and as you can see now, we're printing a phone case, nice and simple. Seems to be coming out really well. I am going slow on this because I want to make sure that we don't get any clogging and we get a good quality print. Really nice filament, this Esun. I'll leave a link in the description on how you can get this. About 20 to 22 pounds in the UK. Didn't have any issues in connecting it up, and it seems to be pulling nice. Don't seem to have any issues or any stringing really. There's a few little bits in there, nothing major. No popping. I always like to dry it first just to make sure. We've been drying for about 3 or 4 hours now prior to starting the print. It's only a 3.5 hour print, so nice and easy. We're going to do a few more with this just to see how it copes with TPU. So far so good on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2. Okay, so this has completed. We have used the Esun, as I mentioned. This is the TPU 95A. I'll leave a link in the description for that, and it's a really good cover. We'll just take a look at how it comes off the build plate. Okay, that has come out pretty good considering I don't often print TPU. Thought I'd just do this iPhone 16 Pro Max case as a demonstration. Not too bad, a little bit of stringing, as you can see. Other than that, pretty good first attempt with the TPU 95A from Esun on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2. It didn't seem to have any issues with coming up through the Elegoo Canva. You do have to select on their screen, basically just selecting the actual material in the edit function, like so, and then just putting all the details, generic TPU 95A, and then it does all the settings for you and then confirms it. So as you are about to print, it will ask you to select the appropriate material for that. So being TPU, you just select that one and away you go. So nice and simple. Okay, so now I've shown you around the machines, I've talked about the specs, you've seen the build, you've got my thoughts about it, which I'm going to go in a bit more detail at the end. I'm just going to show the prints that I've got off this. Now, some of the prints that I've done were already on the memory, and I always like to start with that just to get a feel for whether the machine is set up correctly. Do I need to do any changes? So the first thing that we always do is a very simple benchy, as you can see here, come out quite well, no issues at all. Very simple color change, so not many color swaps, probably about 4 or 5 in total, and it come out really clean. So it's always a good benchmark for the benchy to do that. The next thing I did was a Elegoo sign like this, which come out nice and clean. Not that challenging for the machine, if I'm honest, but it's always a good start to check it. Then we started with some cool, once again, little keychain things. This was a 3-color, just a little key ring thing that was also on the built-in memory, nice and simple once again. And then I decided to create a key ring for a local football club of mine that asked me if I wouldn't mind creating a key ring for them. Nice and simple, just like so. Very easy, done a full bed of it, and they all come out really well. I did notice that there was a few little points, as you can see on this one, where we had a bit of string in and it just sort of embedded itself in there, but a lot of them did come out really well. This particular wasn't that great, so that's why I selected it to show here. We had also printed this little bear. I did increase the size because it's actually a key ring. I increased the size because I wanted it as like a display. Now you can pick up this model from STL Flicks. I will leave a link in the description. But that come out really, really well. It was a multi-part, didn't print all in one. I did have to glue these parts together, but I put it on the bed and it printed out really, really well. As you can see, nice and clear. And that's an awesome print. Everyone loves that one. Now, these are my favorite. Now, as I always say in my reviews now recently, I have been promoting Nostalgic 3D. Once again, I'll leave a link in the description. Nostalgic 3D's models blow me away, and I absolutely love printing them on my multicolor printers. Now, I've done this. This is a Gengar, Pokemon Gengar, but in a Power Rangers format, as you can see, and that come out so well. This was a 3-color. It took around about 14 hours. The bit that really frustrates me with multicolor printing, especially with a single head like the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2, is the amount of filament waste. I probably had almost the equivalent from the model weight versus the amount of waste. But once again, a little bit of purge. This is not a glued together model. This is a fully printed, as you've seen in one of the time lapses. This is a fully printed model as it is, and there you go. That is Nostalgic 3D. We also have another one from that, and this particular model will be launched in February, so get onto their Patreon as soon as possible and you can pick up these really cool models if you like Pokemon / into the Power Rangers format. And there we go. So let's just show you the Pikachu over here. Once again, Nostalgic 3D, available from February. This come out, and this was a one print, no glued together parts, as you can see, and it come out amazing. Once again, about 12 to 13 hours, and we get this. Quite a lot of waste. That's my only downside. But this is the issue with multicolor printing, we know that. Now, what I wanted to do was test the almost full bed on how it would come out as well. And I do love my Hueforge prints, especially on these. I used to do them on one of my other printers. I wanted to give it a test out on this just to see how it looked, how it leveled, how it came out at the end of it. And I must say, out of apart from obviously the nostalgic 3D prints, I absolutely love this print that I've done. Everyone likes Home and Alone. This is a 2-color, so we've got black and white, but the fact that you get all these color differences, so the transparency of the white gives it the impression that it's basically grey, which is awesome. As you can see, absolutely fantastic and very, very cool. So you can put this in a frame, and Kevin McAllister, frightened at the fact that he's home alone, as you can see. And this particular one was done by 3D Flow. I'll leave a link. This was from makerworld. Absolutely awesome print. This took about 7 hours to print. I did slow it down on here. I didn't go with the average speed. I went with the slowest because I wanted to make sure all this detail come out, and it did. As you can see here, it's absolutely fantastic. And that was done on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2. So for me, we're going to recap now what I like and the downfalls of this as well. Okay, so that brings us to the end of the review. It was a very quick review. Overall, my thoughts on the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2 multicolor, it's pretty good. It is really good. And the disappointment that we weren't getting the upgrades on the Centauri Carbon 1 was slowly, and it was moved away by the time I'd put this together, which took 10 minutes, 15 minutes max. By the time I was printing on it, the simplicity of the use, the improvements across the whole machine in terms of the temperature of the nozzle, the screen size, the ability to RFID scan onto here, the ease of use of the canvas on the side, the multicolor part, and the reliability of it. I had no failures. The camera quality, the connection up to the slicer was really, really simple, and I was able to monitor it on their app as well, the Elegoo Matrix. Definitely download that if you're keeping an eye and you're not near the machine. It's brilliant, and you can make changes to it. You could slow it down, improve the temperature, etc. So obviously I did enjoy the Centauri Carbon 1, so I had high hopes for the Centauri Carbon 2 when they announced it. The disappointment of it not being improved was obviously felt across the whole community, as you know. But for £400 that I'm seeing as a rough cost, that's not a bad investment. It's fully enclosed as well in comparison to some of its competitors that have the side spool. The bucket on top, nice and easy to put together. It does come in 2 parts, so you do have to do a little bit of installation on that. But to be able to access it, remove it, if you're doing PLA prints, you can take it off, have the door open, whatever your choice is. The improved fans on it as well. It's very quiet, 45 decibels, which isn't that bad for a multicolor printer. But yeah, overall, my thoughts of the Centauri Carbon 2 are positive. It's disappointing that we've had to go to the Carbon 2 and not obviously improved Carbon 1. But for the price range, it's not that much of a hit on your pocket. It's just more around the disappointment that they launched the Carbon 1 with the intentions of going into multicolor on that unit. But here we have the Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2, and overall my thoughts from this channel, and I have been sent this to review, but I always approach all of my reviews as if I bought it myself. And if I have any disappointments, if it didn't quite live up to the expectations, if I purchased it myself, I like to approach it so that my followers, my subscribers, which I appreciate all of you, and while we're saying that, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and tick that notification bell, and we always have more content, and we do have more content coming up over the coming months. But like I say, once again, Elegoo Centauri Carbon 2, multicolor with the canvas unit on the side. Amazing prints as you've seen. I'll leave a link to all of those models that I've showcased in this video in the description. Thanks for taking the time to watch. I'm Phil from 3DP UK Tech Channel.